it's a blue-green deck. I'm like, why don't I just play like Deceiver Twin in this deck? I was like, Splinter Twin is awesome on a 6 line. It's like, Conley Woods' fantasy world. Yeah, I've done it multiple times.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. Today? Not today.
But yeah, I've done it. You put on a Frost Titan, you're fine. Even like on an Overgrown Battlement, it's not the worst. You end up with 9 mana. You make one at the end of their turn. You make one at the end of their turn, and then you like untap, make another one, and you get double Frost Titan them all of a sudden.
We were actually talking about that, like if Splinter Twin ever got on an Overgrown Battlement.
I mean, it's not common, but if you have to, like if you're stuck on mana or whatever. But yeah, so I was like, let's fit this in the deck. You don't need too many red sources because you have Lotus Cobras and stuff. We have 10 lands that produce red, which is a little light, but we only have 3 Splinter Twins, the only red card in the main deck. Of course, Deceiver X-Dark, another good quality about him is he blocks Beast Within tokens, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. And if you're just on like the mana denial plan, like tapping them down for a turn is like completely fine. Yeah. So I wanted to incorporate that all in the same deck. And like people have been bringing surgical extraction against me, like dismembers and stuff, and that's fine. They deal with like the Splinter Twin combo, and I'm just like cast a Frost Titan. Like, what do you have?
Yeah, one of the things. So Conley's been in Seattle since Tuesday, and one of the things that I've been saying, about a plan B is that if you're all in on the red blue Splinter Twin deck, I mean it's a very narrow combo.
But everyone knows.
Everyone knows how they play against, they test against it.
Everyone has an answer to it.
Whereas like this is a very weird plan B where you're doing like this mana denial thing, and then you're playing Frost Titan.
I think the plan B is actually the Deceiver Twin.
I mean it might be.
A lot of times like you're actually just like substituting like that as your win.
Yeah, I guess depending on your draw. Frost Titan is a mana denial spell that also like hits him for 6. So.
And like Beast Within like plays both roles. Like you can kill your land. Like I just won by Beast Within 3 of my own things. I was playing against a weird deck. She was 1/1, but she was playing Traumatized and stuff. But she's like milling me, and I'm like, I need to win. I don't have any creatures, man. Like Beast Within all my stuff. Like get in there.
So the question I have is, you didn't board anything against Valakar.
So here's the deal. I'm working on my sideboard, and I'm like, doing the typical, like you need Obstinate Bailiffs against vampires and mono red. You need like Dismembers against Splinter Twin, whatever. And like I get to Valakut, I'm like, I don't really know what cards are on our sideboard. Let's put one Tech Edge in there.
All right, so I mean, like
you guys don't have a Tech Edge.
Yeah, but I have one Tech Edge in my sideboard for the longest time. So like I would say, I don't know, 30 hours ago I came up with the idea, just one Tech Edge. So then for the last 30 hours we're like, okay, well what's our sideboard against Valakut? We're like, well, really just one Tech Edge. So like we're going through like, what card do we take out for one Tech Edge?
What do you take out of this main deck?
We couldn't find a single card that you want to take out for a Tech Edge.
The trademark of every Conley Woods deck is that it runs 1 feud, 2 many.
It runs 1 feud,
right?
and a 6 sideboard first.
Like GB Dallas, Gavin and I are talking. He asked Brian Kibler's walk by. Gavin says, "Hey, Brian, in the dark, 2 things about Conley's deck. What do you think is true and standard?" And Kibler thought, and he said, "All right, well, 1, it plays Abyssal Persecutor.
Correct.
And 2, it doesn't play enough lands.
Correct.
Yeah. So
both those things are correct.
I played that same deck in GB Dallas. The only other time
it was a good deck, but it was definitely short.
And I boarded in the land out of the board every time.
We had the 4
So I'm like, well, Conley's only playing 23 lands. I was playing a rug deck with 26, with a little less acceleration, but not much. And like, I really want this land of the board just in case.
Conley's
wrong.
We ended up testing with it, and like 23 lands is certainly low, but we have 3 Howlmore Depths, 6 Pond, or 3 Ponder, 3 Preordained, 4 Spreading Seas, 4 Lotus Cobras, 2 Overgrown Battlements, 2 Rampagos. So even though we only have 23 lands, there's a ton of mana sources, which was a little deceptive, because 23 lands I was even skeptical of. So we had the 4th one in there because we're like, or the 1 Tech Edge in the sideboard because we're like, I could be wrong. But then we're just like, we're never bringing it in, ever, unless we're wrong about that. So we're like, let's just throw a second Creeping Corrosion in there, that way we don't lose to Tempered Steel.
I love this card, though. The
Whiplash Trap's pretty sweet. Yeah. I wanted more of them, but it's awesome with our Beast Withins. Like, you Beast Within their thing, and then you give them a second creature, and all of a sudden you bounce the Beast Within token and whatever. Yeah. It's great against, like, Kodaltha Red, or even Mono Red.
Beats the combo.
Yeah, play 2, it beats the combo, and it's awesome because it beats the combo with Spellskite in play. Because you target Spellskite and the thing. But it's one of those cards where it's like you can't run too many of it because if you draw too many, you're not really. It's a tempo card, and we are a tempo deck, so it's fine.
Yeah, so I think the card that we played the least with. The second Creeping Corrosion's been very good.
Yeah, Zaiem played against Tempered Steel twice.
And and the Tech Edge became the second Creeping Corrosion, and the first one is Protrude Stamp, and the second one isn't. And
so he knew.
I knew which one. So I mean. But Tempered Steel twice, I think, is a very popular deck. Tempered Steel and Valakut, I think, are the 2 most popular decks.
That's what we were talking about.
Valakut's a really good main deck. I mean, he just beat Valakut on cameras. You guys saw that.
Yeah.
Did you go 2-0 or?
No, I went 2-1.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes they're just going to get, and it's much tougher when you're on the draw.
Some mistakes were made, but
some mistakes I'm sure were made. I lost to a Valakut deck.
What was your
mistake? I'm not sure. I have to go back and watch on camera, but I just there were a lot of decisions, and I made a ton of decisions. If you make that many decisions, I mean, I probably screwed up somewhere. Yeah. So
I think
go back.
Well, you already had the Deceiver. It was game 1 that I thought that there was a mistake made, but you had 2 Deceivers.
Okay,
where you played the main phase Deceiver,
right?
And I thought you should have hard blocked the Solemn, and upkeep tapped the other, but you had 2 deceivers in hand. And that's what we weren't thinking.
Oh,
Because
sure.
I thought there was a mistake made because of not having 2
Yeah,
deceivers.
no, I think that was correct. There were
He's
most of
not
my
gonna play
errors
2 more
with this deck are sequencing. There's some very complex sequencing and judgment calls and preordains and ponders and cobras and rampant growths and fetch lands and things and colors and stuff and other things. And I mean, it's just
What was that again?
things and other things and stuff
and rampant growths.
and rampant growths. I think
Lotus Cobras
one
and
turn
preordains.
the Batman got involved.
Well, like one of the weird things
deck.
about this deck. So there's 2 really strange things that most decks don't do. One, when you're playing against Valakut, you don't go after their force because eventually they're going to hit a second force and then that game plan's terrible.
Yeah.
So in this deck, because you have so much removal, you just hit their mountains and their Valakuts because they won 12 mountains. If you hit 4 mountains out of their deck, now they get like 2 Valakut
They don't even
triggers.
run 12 mountains.
Or 11 or whatever.
Yeah.
They're 11 or 12.
Some
but if you
10.
hit like 4, they get like 2 Valakut triggers and that's not going to kill you. And that's if you're not killing their Valakuts. So that's like a non-intuitive thing that you really have to know when you're playing the deck. The other thing is that like you're used to playing Deceiver Exarch as this combo piece, and in this deck it is a combo piece, but you run it out on turn 3 just to tap a land, and most people just like hold it for the longest time until they draw their Splinter Twin, and it's really weird to be like, I guess I'll play this and tap the thing, and it just sits out there for a while.
And they're not going to kill it right away anyway
they-
because they want to wait for the
Yeah,
two
and it
balls.
just blocks the beast, which is huge. It gets in some damage. I mean, I won a game where I was just attacking with 8 and a couple Lotus Cobras, and like she just took 5 a bunch of turns. I mean,
Wow.
it's a pretty big tempo deck. I know it's very cliche that I'm running Acidic Slimes, but at the same time, like. It's one of those things where when Valakut's the best deck, Acidic Slime's actually a good card, and people just don't give it enough credit.
Yeah.
Like I didn't play for
Timbersail's
like,
the best
Well,
deck.
I was talking about earlier how you sold me on Acidic Slime when we were testing for Paris.
Yeah.
When I probably there won't be a day that I'll be like probably playing Acidic Slime in Constructive, but I agree with it now because you were even saying like even against like vampires you have applications. You kill a land, you get a block 2/2. Like it still has a lot of utility.
exactly.
I mean,
It's never a card you're like sad to draw.
The 2 most played decks are Tempered Steel and Valakut.
Yeah.
And
Six
Acidic
Light's
Slime is very good against both of
And
those.
it's actually good against Splinter Twin because we have our own Deceiver Extracts. One of the
And
things
this
we
deck
do.
looks good against Cobblade too, though.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's not as good as the other matchup.
Yeah,
it's
for
still
sure.
fine.
Yeah.
But like one of the cool things you can do is they play Deceiver, put Twin on it. You like tap your guy with Deceiver, and they're like, okay, I'll just win next turn. You either can have Splinter Twin to win in response,
Acidic
Slime to kill the thing, Frost Titan to tap it down, Beast Within off the top. Like there's just so many things that you buy so much time. So like Acidic Slime, and plus you can just mana screw them. Like the double red is very difficult for that deck because the whole rest of the game they're trying to get blue, and then they just save it. So I mean, there's a lot of Acidic Slime's been fine.
I like your guys' deck. What's the last question I have about it though is 3 Ponder, 3 Preordain.
Basically, the reason is no. So Matt Nass, who
The sigh and the reason is I'm gonna love this.
no, so we're rooming with Matt Nass.
Oh, it's even getting better.
Matt Nass insisted on 4 Ponders in this deck. He said Ponders is better than Preordained because they have fetch lands. Zaiem insisted on 4 Preordains. So he's like, Preordained is better because it's a better card.
Yeah.
I was playing the deck as 3-3 because I was like wanting to figure out which one was better. And every time I drew it, like, I
just
couldn't
never
really
figured
tell
out.
the difference. I was like, if I have a fetch land, Ponder's better. If I don't have a fetch land, Preordained's better.
Yeah.
I don't always have a fetch land. And like, if I add 1 Ponder to the deck, then maybe that's too many Ponders for the number of fetch lands I have, or search effects. Because then like maybe I draw, because if you draw a Ponder, you don't have a fetch effect. It's a worse card.
Right, yeah.
So if you draw, so like if you have 4 Ponders, all of a sudden maybe now you like you have bad cards in your deck. And if you add another Preordained, then maybe you just have excess fetch effects, because like your fetch effects are for Cobra and they're for Halmar Depths and for Ponder. So like maybe you just have too many search effects, but you still like need that many. So it's like we'll just leave it at 3/3 and like give it a shot.
And
I mean,
see,
the
figure
cards
it
are
out.
so similar, and we're not playing like a strict combo deck where like we're digging for one specific card.
Yeah. Otherwise
so,
you go 4 and 4.
Yeah. So like I don't know. It's certainly I would almost 100% guess it's wrong, but we didn't know which one it was.
I'm pretty sure it's 4 Preordain, 2 Ponder, but hedge it a little bit. Matt wanted 4 Ponder.
So
Conley
we
wanted
just-
4
Initially,
Preordain.
yeah, initially I thought we were talking about that we didn't have the deck list right away.
Yeah.
And I was thinking that it would be 4 Ponder and then X Preordain.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Really?
I mean, I assume that like without
because we're playing the combo, right? That's what you
well,
assume?
no, it's not that. It's that you want your 2-drops. I think that you like hitting a 2-drop
sure,
on turn
sure.
2.
Oh, sure.
And so
yeah.
your turn one Ponder is better than turn 1 Preordain in this deck. But then
because
later
you can make a fetch or
and then later in the
Yeah.
game, Preordain's better than Ponder.
Yeah. But yeah. So I mean, it's one of those things where I literally didn't get enough games. I mean, if you tested 500 games and like you had
You'll know the answer.
algorithms and stuff, you would know
I mean,
the
this
answer.
is the Conley Midnight Brew, though. That's
no,
what
I
Oh,
just
wait,
been
this
a
came up
two-
on
no. We're just gonna
Oh,
say
okay.
Okay,
Midnight
right,
Brew.
yeah,
Midnight
I
Brew.
mean, you know.
Midnight Brew. Yeah, I had to get Zaiem on it, which obviously it's worked out for him.
I mean, I was definitely on a rug deck with like
One
Dark
lightning
Twin.
bolt.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
so
that's
here's the so we needed one more slot, and I'm like, I kind of wanted to be against aggro.
You make Tom Ross so happy though.
Why?
Tom Ross loves sideboarded center. Like he had a wild Nicatl in a sideboard.
Yeah.
once.
Well,
Like,
we were like, we
yeah.
need one more slot. What are we gonna do? And Zaim's like, the only deck I've played since Lightning Bolts have been legal in M10 that didn't have Lightning Bolt was your deck in GP Dallas, the blue-black Persecutor deck. He's like, I hated it. Like,
I played 5-color control with Bolt.
Yeah, he's played Bolt
John,
in
Mono-Red,
every single deck.
Twin Blade.
Like, every single deck. So
You
he's
too
like,
much to be hilarious.
yeah, he was
to
like,
hang out with.
he was like, can we just get a Lightning Bolt in this deck? And I was like, I don't know if we have room. It's not a good enough card.
Yeah,
and
it's
I was
good.
like, we're sitting there looking for a 15 card. We're like, we want it to be good against aggro, maybe kill a Jace, maybe kill Cobra on turn 2. I was like, whatever, we'll just play. It was basically his third Combust or Lightning Bolt or a Slagstorm, but I think Slagstorm's a little too inconsistent because it's double red.
Yeah.
So we have 2 Pyroclasms instead.
Yeah. Maybe 3 Pyroclasm and 3 Bailout. That might be right. I don't know. I've been doing that. Conley likes 4 Bailout.
It doesn't seem like Temperstil will ever be a real thing, so Pyroclasm seems pretty good in the deck.
Yeah.
We have 2 Pyroclasms just because it does kill our Cobras and stuff, so it's like, you kind of have to board out like a Cobra or something when you bring in Pyroclasm.
So like a traditional rug deck, I think, is a little better than that, because in that plan you can board out your 4 Cobras, which is your only 2-drop, and then you board in the Pyroclasm, 3 Pyroclasms, like 3 Bailouts, and then you play like this. I mean, you leave in your Explorers, or in this case, Rampant Roads. But in this case, so that's a little more awkward, but it's the other reason why I like the Lightning Bolt as well. I mean, it's not just like having a 1-up for the sake of having a 1-up, or having playing Bolt for the sake of playing Bolt. I mean, the card is just very, very good for when you want to do it. And maybe if it's not in the main, then, put it in the board. Like, main deck cards don't have to, like, main deck cards.
No, that's what I mean.
You know, there's a roll. It's a cheap roll. It's very efficient.
Yeah.
It's not main deck appropriate. It's cyber appropriate.
Yeah,
play a
that's
Bolt.
what you need it for.
Yeah, and like, I mean, like, one of the things about Rogue deck building, I've written about this, is like, even though it's not a Midnight Brew, I've still only had like 2, maybe 3 days to test this deck, so you're not going to work out all the kinks. It's not like Call Blade, which was the best deck for 6 months and had a million games on Moto and everyone knew the best configuration. You don't really have that at your luxury, so some of these times you have to kind of hedge, like the Ponder Preordained thing, and like, hope it works out, but if it doesn't, at least you're not like throwing your... It's not like we're playing 4 Ponder and like 2 Treasure Hunt or something where like the card's just so different that like it could just be terrible. So you kind of have to do like little things like that, make some concessions, know that your deck's not 100% optimal.
And get the advantage.
Yeah, and then get the advantage of them not knowing what's going on. And I mean, it's one of those things where when you're doing rogue deck building, if you're in a short time span, you just physically can't get the deck perfect. You can't expect that. It's just not going to happen. I mean, if we had like 5 weeks to work on this deck, but at the same time, like, this is not Nationals, this is not GP Pittsburgh. Like, tournaments where like you really want that kind of edge. So I mean, you just have to kind of go with your gut a little bit, do some theory crafting, argue about dual lands and legacy.
That's next week. Next week's when we have to get something solidified.
Like, I don't have a deck for tomorrow. I'm sure I'm building it tonight, and we're going to argue about theory crafting. There'll be 1 bolt in the sideboard.
1 bolt in legacy.
I've been doing that too.
What red? I guess red.
At least I can start every deck with 4 Jace, 4 Stoneforge Missing, and Legacy.
To be fair, you're arguing for the Grim Lavamancer in the sideboard tomorrow.
I mean, it's
kind of like Bolt, but it's kind of like Bolt.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
We need to just have a camera on you like for an entire weekend.
It's been a fun week so far.
Yeah.
We've had some fun. But I mean, like I said, the deck's good. This seems like a deck that could last for the next couple months just because the cards all in it are fine. There's not like bad cards. Sometimes I build metagame decks that have inherently bad cards that just happen to be good for a day.
I mean, they reprinted Acidic Slime.
Yeah, it's an M12. But
that's Conley.
It's true. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting deck. It's not so advanced that you can't pick it up or whatever. Right.
Well, I mean, the next round's about to start, so I think you guys have to get ready to keep winning.
Yeah.
We do it. I'm 2-1, he's 3-0.
All right. We're gonna go on a short break, and we'll be back for round 4.
Sounds good.